Starfield was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for both Bethesda and its fans that ultimately fizzled as a near-unanimous dire disappointment. If Morrowind was Bethesda's last hurrah swan song, Starfield is unequivocally their crawling corpse requiem. So it's finally here, the video absolutely none of you asked for. It's the Morroboomer perspective on the disappointment of Starfield. So, to get the good out of the way, first and real quick, it won't take long. The facial animations and lighting systems are actually very impressive for Bethesda. I was quite impressed, being a person who has played all of the Bethesda titles. Even though most people quite rightly say a lot of the facial animations are horrific, it's just a couple of the rigs. But the ones that do work, and when the lighting does work on them, it's really quite an impressive feat for Bethesda. Like, I mean, come on. Look at Oblivion and fucking Skyrim and shit. It's come quite a ways from there. But yeah, uh, good thing number two, jumping around with a jetpack's pretty fun and cool. Um, when you tweak the innies and adjust settings yourself. And the gunplay similarly is actually feels quite good, as in Fallout 4. So very clearly it was id Software who did all that, wasn't it? Um, and the next point is that the scale and scope of Starfield as an idea is impressively ambitious. You can see why they wanted to try and tackle it, but then you can see, what happened. And the final super good thing that I could not play without is set essential NPCs equals 0. Every fucker in this game was essential before. This is supposed to be a Skyrim, Fallout, Bethesda, Oblivion, Big Chungus type game. I should be able to fucking kill everyone. And if they are essential, there should only be a few, and it should be for very good fucking reason. Not every single fucking NPC. So yeah. That was the good out the way, and it already started turning sour by the time I got to the end of the goods. So we'll just get right into it. Chapter 1, Unnamed NPCs. Now, I mean, Oblivion was the beginning of the end for this one, and as directly evidenced by no other similar such character, no further games past Morrowind had a Snowy Granius, because they were all just called Bandit, and they were just, it was a Khajiit guy wearing glass armor, or a drawer, or whatever you kids fought in Skyrims. But yeah, it seems like a really minor gripe to whine about immediately, but you're immediately smacked with this as soon as you get in the fucking game. NPCs named Miner and stuff, like Bandit, like, that's shit. Like, you could literally use any name randomizer. I ain't asking for much, but it's just the mere implication that these are actual people instead of entities to be a loot and XP resource. It gives more weight to every and all combat encounters and stuff. Because you're like, oh shit, I killed Snow Granius, or I killed like a Feldalona Helrano, or whatever the fuck. Like, you're not really going to think about it much, but maybe sometimes eventually you do. And Borean Knights, the majority of his YouTube channel is musing and exploring on the backstories of these NPCs, Dark Soul story style, based on like their surroundings and stuff, and the items they have and whatnot. Like, that's cool. And it's not like Bethesda put in any effort for that to happen. They just happened to call that dude Snowy Granius and put him out front, and they thought it was funny. They gave him the grey hair. But then there's like a whole lore around it. And in Oblivion onwards, it was just Bandit. Lots of Bandit. So yeah, chapter 2 of Starfield Disappointment. Character generation sucks ass. I mean, granted, it has kind of sucked ass since Skyrim, and it's not that it was any good in Morrowind, but fucking hell, Oblivion is renowned to this day for the freaks you can create in its character creation, and like we love that shit. That's hilarious. And then every new release since Oblivion, and I guess as a direct result of that reputation, you can barely affect the fucking sliders in these newer games, man. You can no longer make freaks, man. I tried real hard. You might see it in the background, but like even then, it still looks kind of hot. You can't make freaks. You can just leave. You can make ever so slightly malformed default presets. Um, and then, like, what the fuck, man? You look at games like Elden Ring and anything else that has a silly character creator that's come out since, and you're like, what the fuck? You can still make freaks in those because it's fun. Oh my god. But yeah, as well as character generation sucking ass, I remember when some people were starting to get hype about some Starfield reveals when background choices were first revealed. And people were actually hyped at the prospect of being able to select an option that allows you to start the game in massive debt. Yeah, I know I'm playing these fucking games to simulate having a massive debt, not escapism or anything like that. No, 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 no. Yeah, but no. In the end, it's the pronouns that made people massively flip about character gen, wasn't it? Starfield Disappointments, Chapter 3. Absolutely terrible tutorial introductory section. It introduces players to all the absolute fucking worst aspects of the game right off the bat. Annoying, paper thin, cringe fucking characters and dialogue, load screen travel experience, immediate introduction to MacGuffins, and like, hey, take this super watch. It's also also has a ship. Come straight to Constellation for you, Marvel Prize. Everyone in this game smells their own fucking farts, man. Contrary to Bethesda's expectation from the initial reveal of him, the adoring fan ends up becoming the least annoying and most beloved NPC in the entirety of the whole fucking game. Wowee! I just. It immediately sours the experience so hard because I hate every single member of Constellation. Every single fucking one. Sarah talks like a fucking MCU robot. Walter should have been G-Man. Samco was so fucking annoying. I'm sorry, Elias. You're only Adam Jensen to me, buddy. And the stupid religion guy with the hat. I can't even fucking recall the other ones. Vasco, he was alright, but he still had a bit of that fucking claptrap to him. These are the people that are supposed to hype you into engaging with the game and story. Whew. So, the next Starfield Disappointment chapter. The garbage fucking story concept. Oh, you're a space explorer on a space explorer mission? Also, multiverse, guys, multiple universes. They were a tired, hacky fucking trope back in like 2010. Why is this the central plotline in this game? Did you seriously have no other possible avenues of narrative exploration than this messiah-ass chosen one Marvel fucking slop? The next Starfield Disappointment chapter. NASApunk No balls. Where's the fucking punk? It's kitchen sink vanilla sci-fi at best. No balls. I fucking laughed out loud when the neon dancers were revealed. And I didn't think much of it, to be honest, man, at the time. But I didn't realise it would be fully emblematic of the entire tone of the No Balls game. This punk isn't a cohesive visual style. It's a vague descriptor of a mishmash of assets. It's a little bit NASA, a little bit of whatever the fuck, a bit of New Vegas cowboy bits, and a bit of Destiny, yeah? The next Starfield Disappointment chapter. It's 20 points of interest. Essentially, there's about 20 POIs. That was the true experience killer. Like, I could put up with a bunch of shit, but this, with that immediate huge amount of DLC content, is unsolvable. Once you've seen one dungeon, you've seen absolutely all dungeons of that variant. You go into an abandoned factory, it's going to be the exact same abandoned factory on every single planet, everywhere. Um, and it just, you've seen everything after playing the game for like 6 hours, maybe. This kills hard any want for exploration. It just kills exploration stone dead. Were that not enough, the planet and flora and fauna scanning rather, is somehow more annoying and less satisfying than the No Man's Sky implementation that it's imitating. It doesn't even have a codex. The next chapter is Starfield difficulty. Also a significant experience killer, solvable yourself via any tweaks and GMSTs. But why it shipped with the numbers it did is just a fucking travesty, man. All difficulty stock are a minor variation of easy. Um, the next point is next chapter. There's just so many obviously unfinished and pointless systems that do not meaningfully interact with one another. Um, you can tell it was lots of separate teams all kind of working a bit in isolation and kind of having to hack everything back together, you know. Um, it, all of this stuff you can already mildly address with mods and tweets and stuff, but you shouldn't have to. They should have fucking done that. uh, like the survival system, you can mod that back in. The loot probabilities, you just need to tweak your GMSTs or your innies to make those reasonable. The lockpicking minigame complexity, which is like brain surgeon levels of complex to begin with. You tone that down and make master locks actually give you loot, and various base building fixes. Like all of those things I just mentioned, those are all mods that you can download now and play to fix those systems somewhat. Um, but the next chapter is just what finally Starfield disappointment chapter. What finally broke me. I was naively um, very positive and optimistic on Starfield's release because I had zero hype or expectation of it prior. I just didn't fucking care. I've stopped caring about actual Bethesda mainline stuff since like Fallout 4. Fallout 4 was the death knell, the final hammer and nail in the coffin. Um, and I stoically stuck with Starfield for a good month, heavily modded. Like immediately as soon as I started playing, at the tutorial, I'll be modding to get better performance, do all the minigame fixing and shit like that. But after a month or so of doing that, and it actually eye rolling at like most of the dialogue and story content and stuff, fucking know what it is. Eventually, I'd just end up beginning to dread just even firing up the game. Because there's an initial long load screen to get to the title screen that sometimes would occasionally need to rebuild the shaders for some fucking reason. Maybe you updated your drivers, can't wait to update 7,000 shaders, dick. And then every single segment of actual gameplay is constantly interrupted or trying to uh, it's just you're constantly interrupted by constant fast travel and loading screens. Like there's just such a loading screen tax in order to get the small amount of Starfield slop gameplay you get, man. Yes, SSDs are required. Yes, I have one. It's still fucking so atrocious. I literally stopped playing because of it. It got to the point where I actually did want to keep playing the game, but I just could not face like 60% of my playtime being a fucking loading screen, man. Oh. So that was the first death knell for Starfield for me. And then what truly did it, because I was the kind of person who would try to avoid spoilery sort of stuff for the most part, even though I was modding the shit out of it. So obviously I got like Mantis armor spoiled and a couple of other things because heaps of people modded those a billion times as soon as it released. Um, but I was really hanging on for some Great Serpent or House Furren content. Something with even the smallest amount of balls in this fucking lore and world building place. Because they seemed like the evil faction. So I picked the character trait, the Great Serpent character trait or whatever, for House Furren. And it came up like, I'm going to say, like a grand total of 2 times as a dialogue option throughout my maybe 80 plus, 80 plus hours of Starfield game time. I was hoping for a little more than that, and I was hoping, honestly, for like a big grand reveal or something, like a big. They're talking about a big, the Great Serpent. You envision the Great Serpent, this enormous thing in space, like a huge galaxy-eating snake thing in space. That could be terrifying, man. That'd be amazing to witness. Like, that'd be a cool concept. Instead, space is just, the place where you do space combat and get interrupted in your fast traveling. And there's absolutely no House for a Great Serpent content aside from Andrea and one House for side quest. This shit was advertised as like a feature, man. It's like, look at one of these factions in the faction reveal thing ages ago, man. And the game comes out, I give it like a month, and so I look up the spoilers. For what's the Great Serpent and shit, man? What's House Varun up to? How have I missed all of this, man? I hadn't missed any of it. I'd experienced all of it. And it was 2 dialogue lines and a like tiny mini quest of a Varun person in a jail. Oh, honestly, I was so disappointed. I was seriously expecting Wes Johnson's sole cameo to be the Great Serpent. Imagine that, Wes Johnson being a Great Serpent. That would be amazing, wouldn't it? Instead, they hired Wes Johnson, the definitive voice of the Elder Scrolls series. They hired him to be a single inconsequential fat guy NPC. It's like some CEO. Wes Johnson, everyone. The next Starfield disappointment chapter. The Fallout 4 disillusion. Now, I did mention that just before, as what was the death knell of my expectation of Bethesda henceforth, was when Fallout 4 came out. I was pretty excited and hyped for Fallout 4 on release. I really liked 3 and New Vegas. I liked Oblivion. I didn't really like Skyrim. I went to the midnight release of it when it came out on that old. I was in uni and I walked like probably 2 kilometers to the EB Games and then back home. Yeah, and played like 100 hours or whatever. But then, as with Fallout 4's release, similar to my experience with Skyrim, I like get it as soon as it's out. I fucking play the fucking shit out of it. 100 hours at my bro. Actually, I don't think I got quite to 100 hours for Fallout 4 though, because what happened was, because I quickly binged through the game, and I got to the main quest, and I sort of put off doing that final decision because I thought that would be like a big branching point or something, and did all the side stuff that seemed interesting enough for me to do. And then when I actually did the end of the main quest, like a huge, strange dissonance befell me, as if all the time I just spent binging that game was a fucking waste, an absolute waste. The end of the main quest quite literally soured my perception of Fallout 4, like as a game as a whole, for so long, for years for me. I did eventually return to it later and played it quite heavily modded, and obviously avoided the main quest. What is it called? Sim Settlements 2 or whatever. And there's a bunch of enormous, sweet ass gameplay mods for Fallout 4. And it's just so fun to still shoot around in and stuff because it did the shooting. So yeah. So my appreciation and love for Fallout 4 returned, but the disillusion, however, did not. The disillusion in Bethesda going forward, making games in a style that I personally enjoy. Like, I just, at that point onward, simply accepted that this developer I cherished for so long was moving on in a direction basically the polar opposite to my tastes. And to demonstrate that, my last major Starfield disappointment chapter is my Starfield was Skyrim. The world and the lore just completely defanged, man. Just fucking drinks milk, Viking horn helmet, iron armor ass, big chungus. Dragons are fucking boring, and Skyrim is evidence. Dragons should be left mysterious. Then they're cool. Like, you just flash them once, twice in an endgame or something. Like, whoa, what dragons? And not only are you the fucking chosen one immediately off the bat in this game, you're everybody's bestest boy, everyone's best friend, Batman. The best man guy. The fucking world is 80% white, 15% grey, 5% shades of green and yellow. People moaned about the Fallout 3 green filter, the FNV and Deus Ex Human Revolution piss filters, but when Skyrim has the grey filter, everyone loves it. Fuck off. Every single mechanic was stripped and dumbed down from prior titles. Attributes, skills, magic, travel, combat, equipment, story, traversal, notable NPCs, just everything. Everything that was good and enjoyable and deep, somewhat interconnected systems intermangling. Fuck all that shit, man. We'll make Chosen One Messiah games now, man. And not only that, every single dungeon in Skyrim's a fucking flat horizontal loop. Why would I give a fuck about exploring another Dwemer ruin or a draw barrow cave? There, you got 3 dungeon types. Amazing. There are no interesting set pieces. You Blackridge and Peppadonga place. And the iconic voice acting from Morrowind and Oblivion, absolutely iconic. Why everyone still does Oblivion NPC memes to this fucking day. Dagoth AI memes had an enormous resurgence, introduced a whole new generation of gamers to Daddy Dagoth. Fuck all of those voice actors, man. We're just gonna hire like a couple guys who do the Eastern European accents vaguely. Skyrim was my golf. So like, why did you abandon those amazing voices? Wes Johnson. And when it actually comes to playing the fucking thing, simply moving through the world feels like shit. Fast travel is now mandatory. The sprint button was a mistake. Acrobatics, athletics, and the speed stat. Oh, you enjoyed those? You're having fun with that? Too bad. Why is it also my final grievance that I have to finally air about Skyrim, that I swear someone other than me has to share the sentiment. It can't just be me, man. Why is the default character rig in Skyrim, I have a poopy diaper? Every single humanoid NPC got them weird ass proportions, man. Like, granted, they've all been weird. I can handle Oblivion's Ken dolls. I can handle Morrowind's little wooden mannequin dude rigging. But fucking everyone in Skyrim looks like some weird ass 40k proportions with a fucking poopy diaper. Starfield disappointment. The third to last chapter. Modders will fix it. 6 months on, there's no sign of the construction set. Pretty much the main major thing I and all Bethesda modding interested people were most interested in regarding Starfield's release, with like, oh, what cool prop gen capabilities and shit we'll be able to tinker with and add our own shit to. Like there must be heaps more complexity and timescale stuff now with all the stars in the galaxy and shit and all that. But near immediately, we modders hit a wall post-release, hit the brick wall of not being able to make mods any more expensive than they have without any further official dev tools. Like, we hit the wall even with Starfield Script Extender, man. We need the fucking construction set to do fucking anything else, man. But further to that, modders need to want to actually fix it. And many did initially, many did. However, after a month or so post-release, I recall seeing many big name like Skyrim or Fallout modders who were working on Starfield content at the time, publicly quit making mods for Starfield. Like, they made public statements saying, this game is shit. I just don't want to. I'm not going to make mods for it, man. I can't be fucked. Starfield disappointment. Second to last chapter. Bethesda's arrogance, as well as the backlash to backlashes. Bethesda sees no problem with criticism, as they've had massive sales. I mean, why should they care? Game Pass money, baby. Microsoft money, baby. They're making billions. Todd and Pete Hines and shit can finally retire. You know what I'm saying? Cash money. But really, the Emil problem that trended somewhat recently now basically gets immediately shut down as dissent because that one never knows best or whatever cunt made that takedown of the most popular Emil takes because quite honestly most of the takes were extremely childlike, although they had true points. And perhaps there was a disproportionate response. Like, obviously, you don't want to get to the sending death threats or Twitter army onto people thing like that. No one wants that. That's stupid. But regardless, Emil has very clearly and evidently been a significant problem vis-a-vis the blandification of Bethesda games since Skyrim. He struck gold with the Oblivion Dark Brotherhood questline. That towerful built his entire fucking career, which worked in the context of Oblivion as a side quest. But it doesn't, however, work as a game director or general studio-wide design philosophy. I really don't fucking want to hear any more about Boston, Catholicism, or the Messiah. Please, just fucking shut it. The last chapter. Can Starfield be fixed? Well, outside of a Cyberpunk 2.0 patch style overhaul, I think the game is unfortunately fundamentally flawed by design. Exploration is pointless with a handful of procedural points of interest. They could have masked that a lot more by just chucking heaps more variations to their proc gen, but no, 20 POI is good enough. Scatter it across a galaxy. Upgrading gear is pointless because the game is mind-numbingly easy without any tweak adjustments. Skills are pointless. Some of the skills that you have to spend points on are even basic functionality from previous Bethesda types, like the stealth meter. Quests are pointless because the stories they tell are just painfully safe and vanilla. You don't impact the world around you in any meaningful way, or your environment, or whatever. You have to go out of your way to find the handcrafted quests, and the payoff in the end is extremely underwhelming. and like one eyebrow out, one eyebrow up. Fucking Marvel, Joss Whedon, Smarm. I just couldn't stand it in the end. Um, it, I think it could be fixed, but it would essentially require like a sequel's worth of reworks and redesigns and recasts and rethinking of your life choices, Todd and Emil. But you know, that's a big ask. I'm doubtful Bethesda will ever put in the appropriate amount of work to get Starfield up to the standards that we had expected of it. And fundamentally, I don't think the smarmy goody two shoes tone is able to be fixed. The Joss Whedon fucking smarm is permeated to the core, rotten to the core of all of the writing, dialogue, and world building in this defanged fucking game. So, in closing, we're not ever getting the sequel we want. It's up to us. I'm sorry you had to experience this with Starfield. I went through this probably a decade plus ago with Skyrim and then Fallout. But the aspects of the games you fell in love with have moved on. And if you want more of these experiences, you're gonna have to compromise by either looking elsewhere or otherwise making it yourself. I very heartily recommend checking out Open Morrowind development, as well as Tamriel Rebuilt development, where blessed Morroboomers and Morrozoomers alike come together to create a mega Morrowind, the bestest Morrowind, and even multiplayer Morrowind. We're doing this shit ourselves, man. Girls are doing it for themselves.